There are so many different game studios, good and bad, but out of all of those studios... Give me a second. I fucking love Nintendo. Like, what a baller-ass studio. I don't think there's a single video game company that can compare to Nintendo's unprecedented level of quality. Like, time and time again, Nintendo just completely annihilates all competition. In just the Super Mario Bros. Series alone, they've released masterpiece after masterpiece. Every single game in the series establishes a new standard for platformers. In 2007, they released Super Mario Galaxy, which is one of the greatest video games ever made. And then just 3 years later, they fucking did it again. Most game companies fall off after a while, some faster than others, and some fall off so hard that they are constantly setting a new low not just for video game companies, but corporations in general. You'd think that after almost 40 years of making video games, any company would eventually succumb to the same fate. But not Nintendo. Not only has the studio aged incredibly well, so have the games themselves. Games on the Super Nintendo, which came out 30 years ago, are just as playable as modern games. What about consoles that you play the games on? Companies like Sony and Microsoft have been doing relatively the same thing for the past few decades, but Nintendo—
What the fuck is that?
Nintendo refusing to be normal and doing fuck shit with their hardware has led to some of the biggest innovations in gaming. Like, remember when Nintendo completely revolutionized and set the standard for handheld gaming? Twice? Speaking of the Switch, who the fuck comes up with this shit? It's a console, but you can pick up and play the console on the console, and then you can take the controller off the console and use the two halves of the controller as two different controllers.
That's awesome!
Going back to the actual games, part of what makes them so amazing and iconic is the soundtracks. This shit is indescribably good. Do you want a soundtrack that will crush your balls with the hydraulic press and then BLJ you into the fucking Oort cloud? Look no further than any soundtrack that has Mario or Zelda in the name. I joined a jazz band in high school because of games like Donkey Kong Country, 3D World, and Mario Kart 8. Speaking of Mario Kart, there's this one underwater track, and there's one part that only plays on the small part of the track that's not underwater, and just like... The insane thing is, I could make this bit for literally every single song in any of these games. They're that fucking good.
It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and who cares, we'll soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl, don't fear, don't shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. Now listen, all you boys and girls all around the world, don't be afraid to get up and move. You know that we're all superstars. We're the ones who made it this far. Put a smile on that face. There's no time to waste, so let's do the Odyssey.
What, you thought I was gonna put a joke at the end?
Yeah,